Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. The confrontation between Britain and Argentina over the Falkland Islands is escalating quickly. Here is how and why. Argentina is beefing up the invasion force that last Friday captured the islands. A 40-ship British armada, primed for possible war, set sail for the Falklands. And the British Foreign Secretary, Lord Carrington, resigned, trying to take some of the heat off Prime Minister Thatcher by assuming blame for not preventing the Argentine invasion. Our coverage begins with Tom Fenton in London.
The heavy units of the biggest British battle fleet assembled in a quarter of a century sailed out of Portsmouth fully equipped to fight. Its mission, to retake the Falkland Islands if diplomacy fails to do the job. Most of the British nation was firmly behind the fleet's mission in a show of patriotism and national unity this country has not seen for years. But while the fleet was sailing off, back at number 10 Downing Street, Prime Minister Thatcher's government went through a major shake-up. Both the opposition and Mrs. Thatcher's own Tory party have been shouting for heads. Her foreign secretary was the first to go. Lord Carrington's resignation, promptly accepted by Mrs. Thatcher, ended the career of one of Britain's most brilliant post-war foreign secretaries.
There's no doubt about it that what happened in the Falkland Islands has been a great national humiliation. Now, I have been in charge of foreign policy, and as I say, the judgment was wrong about whether they were going to do it. Now, I don't think it's right in those circumstances that you behave as if nothing has happened and go on. And I thought that the honourable thing to do was resign, and I've done it.
Two of Carrington's top aides resigned with him. The new foreign secretary is Francis Pym, who was defense minister until last year. Mrs. Thatcher refused to accept the resignation of Defense Minister John Nott, saying it was vital for him to remain at his post while Britain's forces prepare for the possibility of armed action. Mrs. Thatcher, facing a major political and military crisis, seemed to have recovered her fighting spirit when she spoke on British television.
I am not talking about failure. I am talking about my supreme confidence in the British fleet, superlative ships, excellent equipment, the most highly trained professional group of men.
She acknowledged, in effect, that Britain may find itself without allies, probably even without help from the Americans if it comes to military action.
They have been marvelous diplomatically. To recover British sovereign territory is a British problem, and we will tackle it ourselves.
Mrs. Thatcher greeted Rex Hunt, the British governor of the islands, who arrived in Britain with a tiny band of Marines who tried to defend the islands. According to Hunt's account, they killed and wounded more than 30 Argentine soldiers before finally surrendering.
This fast became quite a firefight. We all finished up on the floor, went on for about half an hour, I should think, and they got pretty close. They got within 20 yards of Government House before the Marines repulsed them.
These photographs, taken by an Argentine photographer, show a wounded Argentinian chaplain blessing his flag, exultant Argentinian soldiers showing off for the camera, and the defeated Marines undergoing the indignities suffered by all captured soldiers as they and their families leave an island that was ruled by the British for a century and a half, one of the last bits of a once vast empire. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
The British fleet that sailed for the Falklands today is loaded with the pride of the Royal Navy, both in men and equipment. The flagship is the huge new aircraft carrier Invincible. As well as its sophisticated jets and helicopters, the Invincible is carrying a member of the royal family, Prince Andrew, a helicopter pilot. Ahead is an 8,000-mile journey to the South Atlantic. Another group of British ships has already started south from Gibraltar. Along the way, they'll link up, forming an armada of some 35 to 40 ships. The muscle in the fleet will be provided by 2 aircraft carriers and 5 destroyers. The most deadly part of the force, though, the nuclear submarine Superb, is already somewhere near the Falklands, waiting far below the surface. Also waiting is the Argentine invasion force, numbering about 14 ships. Among them, a single aircraft carrier, a ship sold by Britain in 1948. But it's equipped with modern jets, the American-built Skyhawk. The Argentine force is also well equipped with modern missiles. In fact, they have the same missiles carried by the British. Argentina's 3 aging submarines, though, are no match for the British nuclear subs. There are 3 possible strategies. The Argentine Navy could sail out to meet the British, engage them in battle some distance from the Falklands. More likely, the British will try to establish a naval blockade of the Falklands, cutting off the invading force from the Argentine mainland, hoping to force a settlement without firing shots. A third, probably less likely possibility is a British invasion of the islands.
If you look at it on the three counts of numerical superiority, the Royal Navy has it. On the question of weapon systems, again, the advantage is with the Royal Navy. And finally, although the Argentinian Navy, one would never underestimate it, certainly, it does include a number of conscripts. The Royal Navy are all volunteers.
Either way, if the two fleets do clash, it will be the first battle in naval history fought with long-distance missiles and nuclear submarines. John Blackstone, CBS News, London.
Tonight, the British government broadcast a radio message through the BBC World Service advising British citizens to leave Argentina.
They're in my dressing room.
There's a star on the door.
I am the star. Moi.
Getting to know each other?
Sure. I'm introducing a new friend that's full of fun. Polaroid's Amigo.
Hello, get out.
I knew you two would hit it off.
It's the lowest priced camera to use the same 600 speed film as the Sun cameras.
Now there's a star.
I knew you were.
Were.
She.
Big mouth.
New Amigo.